If you want respect, earn it yourself. The words didn't come softly. They weren't said in anger just for a moment. They were thrown at me like a final verdict, loud and sharp, as if my existence itself had become a burden. We were standing in the kitchen. The light above the sink flickered, the same way it always did when bills were overdue. I could still smell oil on my clothes from work. My back hurt. My feet felt swollen. I had just come home after a long shift, hoping for 5 minutes of silence. Instead, I got that sentence. My older brother stood near the fridge, scrolling on his phone, pretending not to hear. My mother leaned against the counter with her arms crossed. My aunt sat at the table, shaking her head like she had already made up her mind about me. No one asked how my day was. No one asked if I was tired. No one asked if I had eaten. They were waiting. I was 23 years old, working full-time, studying part-time, and somehow still the family disappointment. Every conversation with them ended the same way. Me defending myself. Them reminding me of everything they had ever done for me. You live under this roof, my mother said. You eat our food. You use our electricity. And you still talk back. I looked at the stack of papers on the table. Bills. Notices. Red ink everywhere. Past due. Final warning. Same papers I had paid from my account just 2 weeks ago. I already paid the internet and half the rent, I said quietly. My aunt laughed, short and bitter. Half. Listen to her. Always counting. That's when my mother said it. If you want respect, earn it yourself. Something in my chest tightened. Not anger yet. Not sadness. Just a cold realization that this wasn't a fight. It was a position they had already chosen. I earn my money, I said. I pay what I can. My brother finally looked up. You think money is everything? Respect comes from family. From knowing your place. Knowing your place. That phrase followed me my entire life. Ever since my father left, the rules changed. My mother became harder. My brother became louder. Extended family moved in and out, always with opinions, never with help. I became the quiet one, the useful one, the one who adjusted. When I got my first job at 17, my mother cried and hugged me. She said she was proud. That lasted exactly 1 month. After that, my paycheck became our money. My bank account became temporary. My dreams became selfish. Any time I tried to say no, I was reminded of sacrifices, of how much everyone had suffered, of how I should be grateful. So I learned to stay quiet. That night in the kitchen, I wanted to do the same. Apologize. Say, I didn't mean it. Promise to do better. That's what they expected. I could feel it. The silence was heavy with confidence. They knew I would fold. But I didn't. I am earning it, I said. My voice was shaking, but I didn't stop. I work. I pay. I help. And still, I'm spoken to like I'm nothing. My mother stepped closer. Then maybe you should leave if you don't like it. The room went quiet. She didn't expect that sentence to land the way it did. She had said it before, many times as a threat. But this time, something changed inside me. I didn't feel fear. I felt clarity. Maybe I should, I said. My aunt stood up. Don't be dramatic. My brother rolled his eyes. You wouldn't survive 1 month on your own. That hurt more than I expected, because part of me believed him. I went to my room and closed the door. I sat on the edge of my bed and stared at the wall. My phone buzzed with messages from work. Shift reminders. Bills, notifications. Life didn't pause for family drama that I looked around the room. Most of what I owned was bought by me. Clothes, laptop, books, even the small fan in the corner. The realization hit me slowly. I was already surviving on my own. I was just doing it quietly, while everyone else took credit. I opened my laptop and checked my bank account. It wasn't much, but it was enough for a deposit. Enough for groceries. Enough for a start. That's when guilt tried to crawl back in. What about my mother? What about family? What about respect? Then another thought followed, calmer but stronger. What about me? I remembered every time I was told to wait, to adjust, to understand. I remembered working late while my brother slept. I remembered being blamed when money ran out. I remembered being praised in public and controlled in private. Respect, I realized, was never about effort. It was about obedience. I started packing slowly. Not in panic. Not in anger. Just with intention. Clothes. Documents. Laptop. Charger. I left behind things that weren't mine. I wasn't stealing my life back. I was taking it. My mother knocked once. "You're really going to do this?" "Yes," I said. "You'll regret it," she replied. "Maybe." But staying had already cost me years. I walked out of the house that night without shouting, without slamming doors, without drama. No one stopped me. For the first time, I felt the weight lift slightly from my chest. I didn't know then how much that decision would cost me. And I didn't know how much it would change everything that I didn't go far that night. I didn't have a dramatic escape plan or a suitcase full of confidence. I slept on my friend Maya's couch, staring at the ceiling, listening to the hum of traffic outside her apartment. My phone stayed face down on the table. I didn't want to see messages. I didn't want to see guilt typed out in familiar words. In the morning, reality settled in quietly.
No shouting. No accusations.
Just silence. The kind that forces you to face yourself. Maya handed me a cup of tea. "You okay?" I nodded, even though I wasn't sure what that meant anymore. For the first few days, I focused on survival. I picked up extra shifts. I searched for rooms online. I counted money carefully. Every decision felt heavy, but also honest. For the first time, no one was watching my choices, judging whether they benefited the family. Then the calls started. At first, it was my mother. Missed calls. Long voicemails. Her voice switched between anger and worry so fast it gave me a headache. One minute, I was selfish. The next minute, she was sick with stress because of me. I didn't answer. Then my aunt called. "Your mother hasn't slept," she said. "You really hurt her." I listened quietly. When she paused, waiting for me to apologize, I said something I had never said before. I was hurting long before I left. She didn't respond to that. What surprised me most was how quickly the story changed when I wasn't there to defend myself. Suddenly, I was ungrateful, cold, brainwashed by friends. Everyone had an explanation except the truth. A week later, I went back to the house while no one was home to collect the rest of my things. Walking inside felt strange, like entering a place I had already outgrown. The walls looked smaller. The air felt heavier. That's when I noticed the envelope on the table. It had my name on it, not my mother's.
Mine.
I opened it without thinking. My hands started shaking almost immediately. It was a credit card statement. A card I had never applied for. Thousands of dollars charged. Late fees stacked on top of each other. I stood there, frozen. I checked the next envelope. Another account. Another balance. Another reminder that this wasn't just emotional control. This was something else. I sat down slowly. My mind raced, replaying moments I had ignored for years. Times she asked me to sign papers quickly. Times she said she would handle it. Times she brushed off letters as mistakes. I wasn't just disrespected. I was being used. Back at Maya's place, we spread everything out on the floor. She didn't sugarcoat it. "This is serious," she said. "This can ruin your future." I wanted to defend my family. The words came automatically. They wouldn't do that on purpose. But the evidence didn't argue back. It just sat there. That night, I pulled my credit report. Each line felt like a punch. Accounts, utilities, loans, all tied to me, all unpaid. I didn't cry right away. I felt numb, like my body was protecting me from the full weight of it. The next morning, I went to a legal aid office. I didn't tell anyone. Sitting in that waiting room, surrounded by strangers, I felt exposed and strangely safe at the same time. The woman who reviewed my documents was calm, professional. She didn't react emotionally, and that scared me more than anger would have. "This is financial abuse," she said, "and identity fraud." Hearing it named changed something inside me. I left with a list of steps. Dispute accounts. Separate finances. Protect myself. Simple words. Heavy meaning. That same week, I opened a new bank account, changed my direct deposit, removed my name from shared bills. Every phone call felt like cutting another invisible thread that had tied me to a life I didn't choose. When the electricity company confirmed my removal, the woman on the phone warned me. If payments stop, service will be disconnected. I understand, I said. For once, I meant it. I didn't call my family. I didn't explain. I didn't announce anything. I just stopped carrying what wasn't mine. A month passed. My life became quieter.
Smaller.
But lighter. I rented a tiny room. It wasn't pretty, but it was mine. I cooked simple meals. I slept without fear of being yelled at for existing. Then my phone rang. My mother's name lit up the screen. I answered. Her voice came out sharp and panicked. Why is the power off? I leaned against the wall and closed my eyes. The moment I had prepared for without realizing it was here. I removed my name, I said calmly. Silence. You did what? She asked. I stopped paying bills that weren't mine. Her breathing changed. You can't do this. You're ruining us. I thought of the envelopes.
The debt.
The years of quiet obedience. I didn't ruin anything, I replied. I just stopped fixing it. She started yelling, calling me names, reminding me of sacrifices. I listened until she paused for breath. If you want respect, I said softly, repeating her own words, earn it yourself. The line went dead. For the first time, I wasn't shaking after a confrontation. I felt steady.
Scared, yes.
But steady. I didn't know then how far this would go, how many people would get involved, how ugly it would become before it got quiet again. But I knew one thing clearly. I wasn't going back. After that call, things moved faster than I expected. Silence didn't come. Pressure did. Within days, relatives I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly remembered my number. Each call followed the same pattern. They didn't ask questions. They didn't want details. They already knew the version of the story, where I was the problem. How could you do this to your mother? She raised you alone. Family doesn't abandon family. I listened more than I spoke. Not because I agreed, but because I wanted to hear how easily people judged a story they never lived. When I did speak, I kept it simple. I stopped paying for things that weren't mine. That sentence made them uncomfortable. It didn't fit the villain they wanted me to be. One evening, my cousin called and said something that finally pushed me past the point of staying quiet. She's telling everyone you stole from her. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was familiar. Control had always come through shame. If she couldn't control me directly, she would control how others saw me. That night, I opened the folder I had started weeks ago. Every bill, every letter, every screenshot, every date. I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. A few days later, my aunt demanded we all meet. Enough hiding, she said. We need to talk like adults. So we did. We met at her house. My mother sat on the couch, wrapped in a sweater, eyes red, looking smaller than I remembered. If I didn't know the truth, I might have felt sorry for her. Maybe part of me still did. My aunt started talking immediately. About loyalty. About family reputation. About how disappointed everyone was. I waited. When she finally turned to me and asked if I had anything to say, I opened my bag and placed the folder on the table. I do, I said. The room went quiet. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult anyone. I simply laid the papers out one by one. Bills in my name. Accounts I didn't open. Statements I never received. My credit report. This, I said, is why I left. My aunt frowned, picking up a paper. This says your name. Yes, I replied. That's the problem. My mother stood up suddenly. She's exaggerating. She agreed to help. I looked at her. Really looked at her. I agreed to help, I said. Not to be lied to. No one interrupted me this time. I explained slowly. How my name was used. How my future was put at risk. How I found out by accident. How I had been paying without knowing what I was paying for. My aunt's face changed as she read more. Confusion turned into anger.
But not at me.
You did this? She asked my mother. My mother crossed her arms. We're family. She owes me. That word again. Owes that I spoke before anyone else could. I don't owe anyone my identity. I don't owe anyone my future. The room felt heavy. For the first time, the power had shifted. Not because I yelled, but because the truth was finally louder than guilt. My aunt told my mother to sit down. Then she turned to me. What are you going to do now? I took a breath. I've already done it. I've disputed the accounts. I've separated everything. I'm fixing my life. My mother laughed bitterly. You think papers will save you? You think strangers care? I met her eyes. They care more than you did. That was the moment something broke between us. Not loudly, quietly. After that meeting, things unraveled quickly. The landlord contacted her about unpaid rent. Utilities followed. Without my name attached, the consequences finally landed where they belonged. My mother called me nonstop. Anger turned into begging. Begging turned into threats. Threats turned into silence. Then came the eviction notice. I didn't hear it from her. I heard it from my aunt, her voice low and tired. They're giving her 30 days. I sat on my bed, staring at the wall. I expected relief. What I felt was grief. Not for the apartment. For the relationship I had hoped might one day be different. A week before the eviction date, my mother showed up at my door. She looked older, smaller, tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. You really did this, she said. I didn't invite her in. I didn't, I replied. I stopped stopping it. She accused me of betrayal, of cruelty, of destroying her life. I listened until she ran out of words. I loved you, she said finally. I know, I replied. But love doesn't look like this.
She cried.
I didn't fix it. When she left, I felt empty, but also free in a way I had never allowed myself to feel before. I thought that was the end. I was wrong. Because the day they came to clear out the apartment, my phone rang one last time. I almost didn't answer the call. The number was unfamiliar, and something in my chest tightened the second my phone started ringing. I stood by the window of my small room, watching people pass by on the street below, living their lives without knowing anything about mine. Hello, I said. It was her. I'm using the neighbor's phone, my mother said. Her voice sounded thinner, like the fight had finally drained out of it. They're here. I didn't ask who. I already knew. They're putting everything outside, she continued. The couch. The table. Your old dresser. Not ours. Hers. That distinction mattered now. I closed my eyes. For a moment, I was a child again, sitting on that same couch, doing homework while she complained about money. For years, I had been holding that apartment together with my paychecks and my silence. I just thought you should know, she said. Since you're the reason. I took a slow breath. No, I said calmly. I'm the result. There was silence on the line. Somewhere in the background, I could hear voices, papers rustling, the sound of things being moved. Real consequences don't shout. They arrive quietly and stay. Are you happy now? She asked. I thought about that question carefully. I'm not happy, I said. I'm free. She scoffed weakly. You always were selfish. I didn't argue this time. You still think respect comes from sacrifice, I said. I learned it comes from boundaries. Her breathing hitched. I gave you everything. You gave me responsibility, I replied. Too early. Too much. Another pause. Longer this time. Where am I supposed to go? She asked. That question used to destroy me. It used to pull me back, every time. This time it didn't. I don't know, I said honestly. But it can't be on my back anymore. You're really done, she whispered. I'm done being used, I said. Not done being human. For a second I thought she might apologize. Really apologize. But she didn't. You'll regret this, she said quietly. Maybe I will, I thought. But regret is lighter than resentment. I already regret staying as long as I did, I said. The line went silent. Then it disconnected. I sat on the floor with my phone in my hand for a long time. I didn't cry right away. I just felt empty. Like something heavy had finally been set down after years of carrying it. In the weeks that followed, the noise faded. Fewer calls. Fewer messages. People stopped trying to convince me to go back. The story lost its audience. I focused on rebuilding. Credit disputes. Extra shifts. Therapy sessions where I learned a word that changed everything. Parentification. A name for the childhood I never had. Slowly, things improved. Not magically. Not easily. But honestly. One afternoon, my aunt called. Her voice was softer than before. I should have asked questions sooner, she said. I thanked her. That was enough. I never moved back. I never paid another bill that wasn't mine. I didn't punish my family. I didn't chase revenge. I chose distance. Sometimes late at night, guilt still knocks. It sounds like her voice. Like old habits. Like fear dressed up as loyalty. But now I know the difference. Respect isn't demanded. Respect isn't taken. Respect is built. First with yourself. She once told me, if you want respect, earn it yourself. So I did. I earned it by walking away.